Have you ever asked yourself why the men who give women everything, love, attention, loyalty, are often the same men who end up betrayed, disrespected, and replaced without warning? Why is it that the man who bends over backwards to keep her happy is the one she eventually grows cold toward, while the man who sets boundaries, who withholds, who refuses to play her games becomes unforgettable in her mind? The brutal truth is this: attraction isn't built on what you give her. It's built on what you refuse to give away. Respect doesn't come from sacrifice, it comes from strength. And the men who last in a woman's world are not the ones who chase approval, but the ones who guard their power like a weapon. The answer lies not in what you do with women, but in what you should never do. And today I'm going to expose 9 things that smart men, stoic men, never allow when dealing with women. Because every mistake you avoid sharpens your edge. Every boundary you enforce multiplies her respect. And every time you refuse to compromise your values, you remind her deep down that you are not like the rest. So let's dive into this brutally honest guide that most men will never hear, but the ones who do will never forget. 1. Smart men do not beg for attention. Have you ever seen a man in London, sitting in a cafe, staring at his phone, waiting for her reply that never comes? His entire mood depends on a blue tick, a single notification. The tragedy is that he thinks the more attention he gives her, the more she'll value him. But the truth is, the more desperate he appears, the faster she pulls away. Take Daniel from New York. He met Emily, a beautiful girl with a charming laugh. At first, she liked his confidence, but soon Daniel started sending her long messages every morning, every night, checking in constantly. When she didn't respond within minutes, he'd double text. If she went out with her friends, he demanded updates. What started as affection became suffocating neediness. Within weeks, she grew distant. Eventually, she told him she needed space. What she really meant was she needed escape. Why? Because attention is currency. When you hand it over freely, without her earning it, you devalue yourself. A man who begs for attention signals weakness, insecurity, and a lack of options. Women don't consciously think, "He's desperate, so I'll leave." Instead, they feel their attraction dying day by day until nothing is left. Now contrast that with James from Manchester. He liked Olivia, but he never chased her validation. He didn't text constantly, didn't rearrange his schedule just to see her. Instead, he stayed focused on his goals, his gym routine, his career. When he spoke to her, he was warm and present. But when he was away, he wasn't glued to his phone. Olivia noticed. She wondered why he wasn't chasing her like the others. That mystery fueled her desire. She started chasing him. This is the paradox most men never understand. The less you beg for attention, the more you receive it. Women want a man whose attention is rare, valuable, earned. When you flood her with it, she doesn't treasure it. But when you give it sparingly, with purpose, it becomes priceless. So remember this: smart men do not beg for attention. They command it. Not by words, not by pleading, but by their presence, their confidence, and their refusal to act like every other man. 2. Smart men do not reveal their entire soul too soon. Mystery is not a game, it's power. Have you ever noticed how women in London gossip about a man they barely know? He's interesting. I can't figure him out. That curiosity, that hunger to discover more is what keeps attraction alive. But when you reveal everything too soon, your childhood trauma, your insecurities, your entire life story, you rob her of the chase. Consider James from Manchester. On his second date with Sarah, he poured out everything. He told her about his past heartbreaks, his financial struggles, his family drama. He believed honesty would bring them closer. Instead, Sarah felt overwhelmed. She didn't see a man of mystery. She saw a man who unloaded his entire soul before she even decided if he deserved her trust. Within days, she pulled back. Contrast this with Daniel in New York. He met Olivia at a rooftop party. She asked about his past relationships. He smiled and said, "Some stories are better told when the time is right." He didn't lie. He didn't overshare. He simply left room for curiosity. Olivia couldn't stop thinking about him. She wanted to earn those chapters of his life. And when he finally opened up, slowly, piece by piece, it felt meaningful, special, because she had to work for it. Here's the psychology behind it. Women are wired to seek out puzzles, to be intrigued, to chase what they can't fully possess. When you give everything away instantly, you rob them of that desire. You become predictable, ordinary, easy to understand. But when you reveal yourself gradually, you become unforgettable. A Stoic man knows this truth. His soul is not a free book on display. It's a library with locked doors. Only those who earn his trust are allowed inside. And that makes every page worth reading. So remember this: smart men do not reveal their entire soul too soon. They share with purpose, with patience, and with the wisdom to know that mystery is flame that keeps desire burning. 3. Smart men do not abandon their mission. There's a dangerous trap most men in relationships fall into: the belief that love requires sacrifice of self. They think that if they give up their dreams, their ambitions, their mission, she'll see them as loyal and worthy. But in reality, moment you abandon your mission, you begin the slow death of her attraction. Take Michael from Los Angeles. He was a driven entrepreneur. When Sarah first met him, she was captivated by his fire, his obsession with building something bigger than himself. She bragged to her friends, "He's unstoppable. He's different from every guy I've ever dated." But within months, Michael started prioritizing her over everything else. He skipped important meetings just to take her shopping. He stopped going to the gym to watch Netflix with her. His business slowed, his body weakened, his edge dulled. Sarah didn't notice at first, but deep inside, her respect began to erode. The man she admired was vanishing. One night, she confessed to a friend, "I don't know what happened. He used to inspire me. Now he just feels ordinary." Not long after, she walked away. Here's the paradox: she fell for his mission, but when he abandoned it for her, she lost interest. A woman may never admit it out loud, but she doesn't want to be your mission. She wants to join a man who already has one. Now contrast that with James from London. He dated Olivia, a woman who constantly tried to pull him away from his training and his career goals. But James never folded. He cared about her deeply, but when it came to his mission, he was unshakable. "I'll see you after training," he'd say. "I've got work to finish." At first, Olivia resisted, but soon she respected him more. Why? Because she realized nothing could break his focus. That kind of man is rare, and rare men are unforgettable. The Stoic truth is this: women come and go, but your mission is eternal. Your goals, your craft, your discipline, that's what defines you. Abandon them, and you lose the very energy that made her attracted to you in the first place. Keep them, and you'll not only command respect, you'll keep your own dignity intact. So remember this: smart men never abandon their mission. They let women enhance their path, not replace it. For smart men do not get trapped by validation. Validation is a silent addiction. It starts small. She compliments your shirt, she laughs at your joke, and you feel a rush of approval. But then it grows. Soon you're craving her praise just to feel confident. You rely on her good job, her "you're handsome," her "I love you," to feel like a man, and that's the fastest way to lose her respect. Consider David in Sydney. He started dating Emily, and at first things were great. But over time, David couldn't function without her reassurance. If she didn't text him good morning, his day was ruined. If she didn't compliment his new haircut, he felt unattractive. If she didn't say "I love you" every night, he panicked. To Emily, this wasn't romance, it was pressure. She felt like she was babysitting his ego. Eventually, she admitted, "I feel like I'm carrying his self-esteem on my back." And she left. Now look at Daniel in New York. He dated Sarah, who sometimes tested him by withholding compliments, seeing if he'd crumble. But Daniel never relied on her approval. He valued himself. He built his confidence through his own discipline, his fitness, his career wins, his inner standards. When she didn't praise him, he didn't chase reassurance. Instead, she found herself chasing his. She wanted him to notice her. That's the reversal. The man who doesn't need validation becomes the man she wants to impress. Here's the psychology behind it. Validation dependency signals insecurity, and insecurity is poison to attraction. A Stoic man doesn't wait for her approval. He validates himself. He's confident whether she compliments him or not, whether she stays or leaves. So remember this: smart men do not get trapped by validation. They live by their own standards, not by her fleeting approval. And that's exactly why she'll admire them. 5. Smart men do not lose their composure during her tests. Every woman will test you. Not because she hates you, not because she wants to destroy you, but because somewhere deep inside, she wants to know, is this man solid or will he crumble? Take Daniel in New York. He was dating Olivia, a woman full of energy and charm. At first, things were smooth. But one evening, while out with friends, Olivia suddenly made a cutting remark. "You're not as ambitious as James." Daniel froze. His pride was wounded. Instead of holding his ground, he snapped back, his voice rising, his face red. He argued, defended, begged for reassurance. In that moment, Olivia saw something she could never unsee. A man who lost his center the second she poked his ego. Days later, she told her best friend, "I don't feel safe with him anymore." Now imagine Michael from London. He dated Sarah, who sometimes tested his patience. One night she teased him about another man, waiting to see his reaction. Michael didn't flinch. He smiled calmly, looked her in the eyes, and changed the subject. He wasn't cold. He wasn't rude. He was composed. Sarah felt a wave of attraction. Why? Because his calmness proved strength. Here's the reality. Women test because instinct tells them to seek men who won't collapse under pressure. If you lose your temper, beg, or spiral into insecurity, you fail the test. But when you stay composed, when you show you cannot be shaken, you pass. And that's when her respect deepens. A stoic man knows composure is power. Fire may burn around him, but his inner world remains steady. So remember this. Smart men do not lose composure during her tests. They welcome them, because every test is an opportunity to prove their strength. 6. Smart men do not tolerate disrespect. Respect is the backbone of attraction. The moment a woman disrespects you and you let it slide, you send a message louder than words: my dignity is negotiable. And from that moment, everything unravels. Take David in Manchester. He was dating Emily, and at first their relationship seemed strong. But slowly, Emily began testing boundaries. A sarcastic insult here, a public joke at his expense there. The first time, David laughed it off. The second time, he brushed it aside. The third time, he stayed silent even though it burned inside him. What he didn't realize was that every time he allowed disrespect, Emily's respect for him withered. One night, she shouted at him in front of her friends, and instead of walking away, he begged her to calm down. That was the night she lost all attraction. Now think of James in Sydney. He dated Olivia, a fiery woman who sometimes pushed lines. Once, she raised her voice and cursed at him in an argument. James stood up, looked her in the eyes, and said calmly, "Don't ever speak to me like that again. If it happens again, I'm gone." He didn't yell. He didn't threaten. He simply enforced his boundary with quiet power. Olivia was shocked. She tested him once, and he proved unshakable. From that moment, her respect grew deeper. Here's the psychology. Women push boundaries to see if you'll protect yourself. If you don't, she sees weakness. But when you stand firm, you show strength. Respect is not something you demand, it's something you enforce. A stoic man doesn't tolerate disrespect, not once, not ever. Because he knows a man who accepts disrespect loses himself piece by piece until nothing is left. So remember this. Smart men do not tolerate disrespect. They draw the line and they never apologize for it. 7. Smart men do not overinvest too early. There's a mistake countless men make without even realizing it. They meet a woman, feel instant chemistry, and suddenly they're pouring everything into her: time, money, energy, emotions, as if she's already earned it. But the truth is, the more you overinvest before she's proven herself, the faster you kill her respect. Take Daniel from New York. He met Emily on a dating app. On their very first week, he bought her expensive gifts, rearranged his entire schedule to be available, and even canceled nights out with his friends just to see her. Emily enjoyed the attention at first, but something shifted. She began to see him as desperate, predictable, and easy. Within a month, she ghosted him. Why? Because Daniel gave her everything without requiring anything in return. He didn't make her earn his presence, his time, or his love. And when things come too easy, they lose value. Now contrast that with James in London. He met Sarah at a networking event. Instead of showering her with constant attention, he let the relationship grow naturally. He kept his routines, his gym sessions, his work commitments. When he took her out, it was thoughtful but not excessive. Sarah noticed. She wondered why he wasn't giving her everything like other men. She felt the urge to prove herself worthy of his attention. That urge, that desire to earn him, fueled her attraction. Here's the psychology. Investment creates value. The more she has to invest, time, effort, energy, the more she values you. But if you overinvest while she gives little, she senses imbalance. And imbalance kills desire. A stoic man knows his worth. He doesn't rush to prove it with gifts, words, or sacrifices. He lets his actions, discipline, and boundaries speak. He understands that his energy is precious and only those who earn it deserve it. So remember this. Smart men do not overinvest too early. They give with balance, with patience, and with the wisdom to let a woman prove her worth first. 8. Smart men do not chase closure. When a woman leaves, most men spiral into obsession. They beg for explanations, demand answers, crave closure. They want her to sit down and neatly explain why she walked away, as if her words will heal the wound. But here's the truth, chasing closure is chasing weakness. Take Michael from Los Angeles. His girlfriend, Olivia, suddenly ended things after 2 years. Michael was shattered. He sent long emotional texts asking why. He called her late at night, begging to meet. He even showed up at her workplace, hoping for one last talk. Olivia gave him vague excuses. It's not you, it's me. But the more he pressed, the colder she became. Michael thought closure would bring peace, but instead it destroyed his dignity. Now look at David from Manchester. His girlfriend Sarah broke things off abruptly. David felt the pain just as deeply, but instead of begging for answers, he walked away. He accepted the silence. He poured his energy into his work, his training, his growth. Months later, Sarah reached out, curious about his life. Why? Because he didn't chase. He didn't need her words to move on. That silence, his refusal to seek closure, made him more powerful in her memory. Here's the psychology. Closure doesn't come from her explanation. Closure comes from your acceptance. A woman often doesn't even know the real reason she left or won't admit it. And the more you chase answers, the weaker you appear. But when you stand firm, when you let her go without begging, you prove strength. And strength is unforgettable. A stoic man doesn't beg for closure. He understands that endings are part of life. He doesn't need to understand everything to move forward. He creates his own closure by choosing discipline, growth, and self-respect. So remember this. Smart men do not chase closure. They walk away, and in that walk, they reclaim their power. 9. Smart men do not lose control of their emotions. There's nothing more destructive to a man's strength than emotional chaos. When a woman sees that you can't control your anger, your jealousy, or your sadness, she stops seeing you as her anchor. Instead, you become a storm that she needs to protect herself from. And no woman wants to feel unsafe with the man she's with. Take Daniel from Manchester. He was dating Emily and everything seemed perfect. But whenever Emily went out with her friends, Daniel's jealousy consumed him. He'd send dozens of texts demanding to know who she was with. If she didn't reply, he would explode when she came home. His emotions ruled him. Anger one moment, tears the next. At first, Emily tried to be patient, but over time she began to fear his volatility. She confessed to her best friend, "I feel like I'm walking on eggshells around him." Within weeks she left. Now imagine James from New York. He dated Sarah, who sometimes pushed his buttons intentionally or not. Once she posted a picture with a male friend, and everyone expected James to react, but James didn't flinch. He didn't confront her, didn't explode. He stayed calm, composed, centered. Later, when Sarah asked, "Didn't that bother you?" he simply replied, "I don't lose sleep over small things." That answer sent chills through her. She realized he was unshakable. That calm strength only deepened her respect and attraction. Here's the psychology. Women don't want perfection. They want stability. They want to know that when life storms hit, their man won't collapse. Emotional chaos signals weakness, but emotional discipline signals power. And nothing is more attractive than a man who remains calm under fire. A stoic man doesn't suppress his feelings, he masters them. He feels deeply, but he doesn't let emotions dictate his actions. His calmness is not fake. It's earned through self-control, discipline, and perspective. So remember this. Smart men do not lose control of their emotions. They remain grounded, steady, and unshakable. And in that calmness, they command respect. Conclusion. So remember this. Rejection is not your enemy, it is your greatest weapon. Reverse psychology is not about games or tricks. It's about discipline, restraint, and the courage to walk away. Think of Marcus Aurelius sitting in Rome writing his meditations. He reminded himself daily that true strength lies not in what you control in others, but in what you control in yourself. That same truth applies to women, to dating, to every relationship you will ever have. The world will tell you that love means giving endlessly, chasing relentlessly, and sacrificing yourself completely. But the stoic man knows better. He knows that attraction lives not in what you give away, but in what you protect. A woman may be drawn to your looks, your charm, your success, but she stays for your strength. And strength doesn't come from chasing. It comes from self-control, from refusing to beg for attention, from guarding your mission, from demanding respect, from never folding under pressure. Most men will never understand this. They will keep giving too much, keep losing themselves, keep wondering why they're overlooked. But the man who embraces these truths, the Stoic man, becomes unforgettable. He is the rare man women cannot control, cannot fully possess, and cannot easily forget. So master these lessons. Stop chasing. Stop explaining. Stop losing yourself. And start commanding. Because the moment you stop being like every other man, the world and women start treating you differently. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.